Well, hello YouTube, it's me, Fortmaster, and welcome back to another game theory reaction. And it is official, 9 theories to go before MatPat is gone. I'd very much like to just ignore that fact, but of course, it's literally the first thing on the video. So, yay. So yeah, anyway, today's video, welcome to your nightmare, and it's about Gartan of BanBan Chapter 6. So yeah, I've said before that, I'm actually kind of fascinated by Gartan of BanBan, because I like watching videos about it, because I like seeing people react to it. Like, I don't have any investment to, like, the game itself, I should say. But I can definitely say from, like, the gameplay I've watched that it seems like the newest chapter was off compared to the other ones. How to put it? It like I won't say incoherent, but it felt like it lost its way slightly. Like, I know there's always been a lot of stuff thrown at you in these games that you're just expected to know, and then they kind of flesh them out later. But this one, it felt like there was a lot more of that than usual here. And that's ignoring the fact that they jumped from Chapter 4 to Chapter 6, because Chapter 5 appears to be like a prequel of some kind. So yeah, as always, original video is linked in the description if you haven't seen it yet for some reason. Corner video will lead to my film theory reaction. And yeah, if you like any of the stuff that I put out, whether it's Let's Plays or reactions, I'd very much like it if you subscribe to my channel. So yeah, with all that out of the way, let's get this thing started then, shall we?
Yep, friends, you're not seeing things. The first video I'm doing as my final round of host on this channel is on Gartan of BanBan. What sort of darkest timeline are we operating off of here?
Yeah, why would you waste one of these?
No, stop it. If I have 9 theories left before I hand things over to Tom, we are bringing back the classic intro.
Oh, thank you, MatPat.
That's the stuff. Hello, Internet. Welcome to game.
Oh. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. That literally gave me goosebumps a bit there. Oh, that was the good stuff. I love the game theory themes. From what I've heard like the other themes that they've had, or at least they've put out. I can't remember what the film theory theme was. I'm gonna have to listen to that again. But I love the game theory theme. I've loved it in all its incarnations. Oh, yeah. That was nice.
Game theory, where in just a couple of weeks, I'm gonna be unburdened of BanBan. Sorry, Tom, this one's your problem now.
Yep, I should have seen this coming.
Though to be fair, BanBan is kind of all of our problem. At this point, it's kind of inescapable. It exploded onto the scene in such a big way last year that it was labeled as one of YouTube's top 10 trends of 2023, right alongside Peaches from the Mario movie, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and the Grimace Shake.
Are you kidding? God, you just got the month wrong.
Not okay.
This is from a different month.
Okay, the answer for this round is Gartan of BanBan. And yet, here we stand, at the 1-year anniversary of the first Gartan of BanBan game with the latest installment just released. So I guess we're just gonna talk about
it. Okay, so here's the thing. With that, I believe I watched him talk about that in the newest episode of on GT Live, where they're actually playing this chapter. So for like simplicity's sake, Gartan of BanBan went from 0 to 100, and that's why it went on the list. While something like Katy Perry would have to go like from like 1,000 to like 10 million before it would have reached like the comparative same success. At least I think that's the way I'm remembering the way he described it.
About it until Poppy comes out, which will probably be a lot better. After what feels like an eternity for this franchise. Let me check my notes. 4 months, the 5th installment of this game series dropped, naturally titled Gartan of BanBan 6.
So many parallels to this can be drawn to like early FNAF, where you had like the first series of games coming out within months of each other. But for some reason, it felt like there was just so much more polish and work having gone into those than this. I mean, you look at all the monsters and they look like they're made out of plasticine. I mean, people are talking about it, so it worked.
And relative to the rest of the series, Episode 6 is pretty tame. Episode 4 ended with a jester named Bitter Giggle making Queen Bouncelia laugh, causing her giant kangaroo pouch to erupt into a sky beam which released the Naughty Ones. Episode 6 deals with the fallout of all those words I just said, where we have to face the leader of the Naughty Ones, Sir Dadadoo, using his mind control powers to take over the other mascots of the kindergarten. Oh, and we also get hit by a bus several times. Wasn't this a game about looking for our lost kid?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, that's the one through line that we're supposed to be keeping throughout all these games. As I said before, I'm not really into Gartan of BanBan, but the further it goes along, the more I want to see like how they tie up that one central loose end. And also, for those of you that don't know, the bus, being hit by the bus, that was in a dream, because whenever, oh god, what's the jellyfish's name? I'm completely forgetting. Stinger Flynn, yes. Whenever Stinger Flynn is involved, he just makes you dream of stuff by touching you. Don't know why.
Kindergarten? Whatever happened to that? But here's the thing, for as much as I joke about this game being lol so random, the Euphoric brothers are smart. As we talked about in a previous theory, skipping the 5th installment was actually a big brain move on their part, in both the marketing and storytelling departments. And it showed me that there's actual thought and attention put into the way that this thing's being structured. And it was that realization that got me to go back and rethink all the insane things that this game throws at us. And of all the ridiculous, over-the-top, what the heck were they thinking moments in this game, none can compare to the dream sequences that we've been getting since Chapter 3.
Choo Choo Charles, yeah.
Choo Choo Charles! Yep. What?
Yeah, these insane fever dreams of storytelling, talking about beaches and featuring cameos from other indie franchises, these seem to have more method to their madness than any of us gave them credit for. I mean, when the Euphoric Brothers' main goal seems to be pumping out as many games as possible, as quickly as possible, it's weird for them to purposely spend a lot of time putting these things into the games just for the lulz. Which
actually, because like thinking about it, I know that like speaking of like a new speaking of like another new indie game that like has sold a lot, I know Lethal Company, the creator of that, he's apparently made like $28 million off the game so far. So that's like nothing. And I think how much is Lethal Company again? It's like $10 or something dollars. Well, for me it's $12.99. But how much are the BanBan game? Yeah, so Gartan of BanBan 1 was free. Gartan of BanBan 2 was $7. Gartan of BanBan 3 was also $7. Gartan of BanBan 4 was $13, and Gartan of BanBan 6 was $13. So they've had to have made a lot of money off of it. It's just off of like the meme, like advertising and people buying it just to play, oh, the game that's so bad and that sort of thing.
Which means that they have to be important for some reason, right? So what are these dream sequences, really? Why are we being shown them? And can they potentially reveal the solution to the kindergarten's largest mystery? I believe the answer is yes. And today,
really?
I'm gonna prove it to you.
Okay, I might see a reason why Pat has to retire. These theories have started to drive him mad.
So before we figure out what exactly is going on here, we first need to remember what exactly these things are. In every instance, we're shown these dreams by the giant jellyfish Stinger Flynn. This guy's been a bit of a question mark the entire series.
Very much so, yes.
Bad, it's not exactly clear. When we first meet him in Chapter 3,
But like, you also meet him in Chapter 3, and he is gigantic. Like, I have to wonder. I mean, granted, he's a jellyfish, so I don't think he'd have any bones, so that could be why he was able to get around while he was so big, you know, squeeze through, you know, I mean, squids can do it. But, like, why did he shrink is the thing?
Basically tells us to give up on our quest to find our lost child because he's cooked up a scheme to get him and all the other children out of the facility safely. He tells us he's gonna show us something that's gonna totally convince us to stop looking for our kid, and instead he takes us into the first dream sequence where we're on a deserted island alongside him, talking about his lack of a tan.
I have never had actual sun rays touch my skin. Can you imagine that? and I yearn for the day that they finally do.
He then goes on to complain about his hyperintelligence and talk about how he yearns to be just a normal jellyfish. Sorry, what does any of this have to do with my missing kid? Before
Yeah, exactly.
we leave, though, he does make one thing clear.
Of course, none of this is real, but it all could be.
Okay, so let's interpret what's going on with this first dream. This place, this beach, it isn't real. It's where he wishes to be and where he was destined to be when he was just a bunch of jellyfish DNA. That right there might seem obvious, but I don't know, man. I don't expect anyone to retain lore information about this game, let alone symbolically dissect what the glowing orange monotone jellyfish is saying during his underground dream sequence monologue as a giant sock puppet looms in the distance. This is the first dream.
This
and it's showing
game.
us what freedom looks like to Flynn. Besides him saying that he wants to escape and then showing us the beach that he wants to be real, we also see him standing next to a car. The car has always been a representation of freedom, especially when you're talking about kids. Finally getting to drive yourself wherever you wanted, whenever you wanted, unrestrained by parents. A car equals freedom. And Stinger Flynn, in his dream, drove himself to this beach. He wants to take control of his destiny and find his personal freedom. Easy. Nothing too difficult to parse in this one.
Simple, I can totally see that.
To my missing kid, but we'll move on. In future dreams, Stinger Flynn isn't the only one who's trying to escape. For the second dream, we've got BanBan, Opila Bird, Nab, and Captain Fiddles all alongside him going through the desert.
Yeah, Captain Fiddles hasn't actually appeared in real life yet.
Kind of like a metaphor for this whole kindergarten facility, right? A barren wasteland with no real sense of direction, and most importantly, no end in sight.
And I still hesitate to call this entire thing a kindergarten. It's just like, I know in like some places I know in like some games and stuff you can have these facilities that are like absurdly large and stuff, and they try to explain it like, you know, in Aperture, like they already had the holes dug. They were like the lab was built in like an abandoned salt mine and stuff like that, and they just built the stuff in the holes. But Gartan of BanBan, this was supposed to be a kindergarten, you know, a place for, you know, raising and like watching kids all day. Where did they get the funding to not only have this giant, like this gargantuan underground like lab capable of not only discovering a brand new elephant, but also creating like these weird mutant things? Like, what kind of government grants are they getting? I mean, if it even was illegal money, that is.
It's also worth noting in this one that Stinger Flynn is the only one to truly be aware of the freedom that could await them.
So, Stinger, when are we arriving at this place called beach?
Notice that BanBan uses quotations around the word beach here, because he doesn't understand it. He doesn't know what freedom truly is. Freedom isn't his goal, but, you know, he's more than willing to go along for the ride. Instead, Stinger Flynn is the driver. He's the one leading the charge. He's the one literally and figuratively driving them all towards freedom. There's just one problem with that. Stinger gets lost. He doesn't actually have any idea where this beach is.
I believe we are lost.
We've been going in circles for hours.
Despite wanting freedom and saying he has a plan to get everyone out of the facility, Stinger Flynn is clueless.
And then they hit a tree.
His end goal. He's just stuck in the purgatory alongside everyone else. And this is where things begin to fall apart. Flynn crashes the car, and as we see in the next dream sequence, the group end up sitting around the wreckage, sharing whatever food they have left. Oh, and Zolphius is here now, just looming out in the background.
He's just standing there,
menacingly. Either that, or he's a lot closer than we think he is, and he also has shrunk for some reason.
In this scene, we see how desperate the group is getting, specifically Stinger Flynn.
We each have our plans and goals, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
He's basically ready to give up. That is, until a surprise guest shows up. Choo Choo Charles! And while the Charles cameo itself feels unbelievably random, the actions that the other characters take, they don't. Stinger decides to capture a rescued BanBan. Nab, meanwhile, confronts the train head-on to protect everyone. This is actually a series of events that we see repeat again in the dream sequence from Chapter 6. We see the crew all waiting for a bus to take them to the beach, only for Captain Fiddles to be kidnapped by a different bus.
Which, I mean, would explain why we've never seen him.
Nab tries to go after
I just noticed that, Zolphius is in the background again.
him and is hit by a third bus, leaving the rest of the gang stranded, only for us to then be hit by a fourth bus. What's important to note in this bizarre sequence is Nab's action. In both dreams, he runs in and tries to protect the other mascots. And what do we see at the end of Chapter 6? BanBan in trouble at the hands of Sir Dadadoo, and Nab stepping in to protect them all. Well, I say he stepped in. If I'm being thorough, I would say that he was injected with the chemical Jivanium and yeeted away, at which point he transforms into a giant Dark Souls boss and tears the naughty ones away, only only to then lose and fall under the group mind control spell. So really, all of that is what we saw in the dream sequence coming true.
This whole game, I mean, I hesitate to even call this foreshadowing, but I can't.
Nab stepping into hell, but ultimately getting hurt in the process. And you see, this is where the pieces started to click into place for me. If Nab's fate from the dream came true, what other clues can we get from these things?
They will find Choo Choo Charles!
Well, throughout the game, we've been collecting case reports full of lore. Lore that tells us about the experiments done to create these living mascots. Almost all of them end up with a very specific goal in mind. Is the subject ready for presentation?
No.
This presentation isn't a presentation for stockholders or investors, rather it's a presentation to parents and children. The fateful Bring a Friend Day, where the kindergarten ball pit collapses into the depths under the weight of the visitors. Most cases that we read about have been—
which you have to think, like, one, I don't even know how you construct a ball pit like that where it can collapse, but two, how many people were in the thing?
Deemed not ready for presentation. However, there's one experiment that was considered enough of a success to present to the parents. Captain Fiddles, the one who was stolen into the bus. These dreams actually mean something. According to his case update report, while the captain's incapable of comprehensible speech, he showed exceptional stamina. He could perform simple mathematical operations, but most importantly of all, he imitated the behavior of a very obedient toddler. He was the best that the scientists had to offer. And so, as we see in one of the secret VHS tapes, Captain Fiddles was presented to the children on Bring a Friend Day, which means that he had to be separated from the rest of the gang, just like we're seeing in the dream.
Oh, that's why, okay.
That we're seeing in this Chapter 6 dream. We see Captain Fiddles get kidnapped by a bus. If a car represents freedom in these dream sequences, then a bus, public transportation, is a symbol of authority and control. It's a representation of the kindergarten staff, the scientists, the system that these mascots find themselves trapped in.
Never before had I ever considered that the bus was a symbol of oppression.
They couldn't find freedom on their own. When they got lost and crashed their car, they instead had to begin playing along with the scientists and their experiments. If they did as they were told, maybe they would have a chance to escape, to finally reach that freedom, only for them to constantly be told that they weren't ready for presentation. But Captain Fiddles, he was. And so without warning, he suddenly ripped away from the rest. This also explains why we've only ever seen Zolphius from a distance. In our previous theory, I spoke about how two scientists working at the facility created this big worm Zolphius in a failed attempt to use a real kid to create the perfect child, a child that they would never be able to have naturally. But when the experiment was over, his face was deformed, his body didn't come together correctly, and so he was relegated to becoming one of the rejected mascots alongside Sir Dadadoo and Bitter Giggle. In fact, that's
I gotta say something. Sir Dadadoo, I mean, granted, some of these, like, character names are like, certainly out there, but Sir Dadadoo? That's not even a real word. I mean, Bitter Giggle, yeah, that sounds weird, but it's at least 2 words. BanBan, again, that's another weird one. Bouncelia, I mean, kangaroo, bounce, and you add, like, a suffix at the end to make it sound like a female name.
Exactly what we see in the teaser for BanBan Chapter 7, a mural of Zolphius alongside these weird hybrid reject characters. These are the ones that are marked as permanently not ready for presentation. The ones that we learn through a note in Chapter 6 are planning a rebellion against the scientists. But Zolphius is in that first dream sequence with Stinger Flynn. Apparently all he wants is freedom, to be with other children, to be accepted, but he knows that he can't be. He is the reject, and so he just keeps his distance, watching and hoping that maybe he can follow him to freedom. But
giant
really
spoon face in the background.
To really get to know anyone else. So the big question now is, why is Stinger Flynn showing us this? And also, why did we just get hit by a bus? Well, remember, in the game, we're playing as a parent.
Yeah, very important question, that. Very important.
That's trying to recover our lost child. And yet, at every turn, Stinger Flynn is quick to remind us that we're making a bad decision and that we should probably go home.
I wanted to let you know that this is all happening because of you. I would be free of my shackles, and everyone you hurt would not have been hurt. Because of your foolish decisions, we are even less likely now to ever get back to the children.
Our stubbornness, our ceaseless quest to find our child, it's hurting everyone around us. And in Stinger's mind, will ultimately be futile. It's the exact same thing that we're seeing in the dream sequences. Stinger Flynn has a goal of freedom that he's relentlessly pursuing, and it looks like he's hurting his friends. BanBan's in trouble. They're getting kidnapped. They're getting hit by buses. It's also clear that trying to recover the kidnapped Captain Fiddles immediately gets Nab injured. Apparently, those who try to recover others in this world are ultimately struck down. Basically, we're on a collision course with ourselves. We're destroying everyone and everything around us in this relentless pursuit of this one thing, hence why this bus hits us at the end of the dream.
So what I'm getting here is that in the final Gartan of BanBan, I mean, I would almost imagine like Gartan of BanBan 10, because, you know, that's just a big round number that would make a good ending. We're going to run over ourselves with a bus. Or there's going to be some weird, I don't know, like, Jivanium clone that we're going to have to deal with.
Dream also shows us the evolution of BanBan and Stinger Flynn's relationship. Throughout the series, it's clear that BanBan and Stinger aren't exactly friends. In fact, during Chapter 3, Stinger Flynn gets mad at us for even working with BanBan to find our missing kid. But as Flynn keeps showing us more and more of these visions of past events, it's clear that he and BanBan used to be friends. At least friendly enough for Flynn to have brought BanBan along on his little escape plan in the first place. But as things get worse and worse, we see the deterioration of their relationship. They are arguing non-stop.
You had one job and you messed that up somehow.
If Jumbo Josh was here, he would have loved those vegetables.
I am pretty content that he's not gracing us with his irritating presence.
Why do you hate him so much?
It gets so bad that BanBan decides that he doesn't even want the freedom that Flynn is offering anymore.
Why are we even doing all of this? I don't want to go to the beach anymore. I just want to go back.
And to really nail home this connection, the Euphoric Brothers had a song commissioned specifically for the Dream Car sequence, a song titled Rivals. In that song's music video, created by the nerdcore channel Rocket Music, the titular rivals are none other than Flynn and BanBan, a song that BanBan seems to really like.
That's what I'm talking about.
The lyrics of the song seem to be pointing at the moment that their relationship truly began to fall apart. In it, we have lyrics.
Oh, and here I thought that song was that appeared in that chapter was just some sort of random, you know, real life song that they stuck in there for a joke. I didn't think it was like something they commissioned. Okay.
Lyrics like, "Don't tell me I got time for an eye, don't take another life from me." Considering the song is from the perspective of BanBan, it would seem that Stinger Flynn took a life from him. But what life is that? What could that be meaning? Well, it's important to remember that most of the monsters in this game are a mix of human genome and Jivanium. For BanBan, we know his human genome came from Dr. Uthman Adam, the head researcher at BanBan's kindergarten. This is also the scientist who, alongside Dr. Weverly Mason, tried to create the child that they would never be able to have, only for it to turn into a monster. Meanwhile, Stinger Flynn,
So did Stinger Flynn either kill that like experiment child thing, or was he responsible for it turning out the way it did?
We still don't know much about, honestly. We don't know who his human genome donor was. We don't know what they did. What we do know is that according to this little kid drawing found in Chapter 2, Stinger helped to save kids from a rampaging BanBan on the loose during Bring Your Friend Day. So really, this line about stolen lives can boil down to one of three things. One, Stinger Flynn was the human who put Uthman Adam's genome into BanBan in the first place, stealing his human life, and he's mad about it. Option 2 is that Stinger stole or harmed the child that Uthman created, and then there's option number 3. On Bring a Friend Day, we know BanBan went on a rampage. We also see hints of this in Chapter 5's preview images. Maybe Stinger, by saving that group of kids for his own unclear and suspicious motivations, literally took those lives away from BanBan. Regardless the reason, I suspect that the next few chapters are going to give us some more dream sequences that'll start
Stinger Flynn.
these events, leading to the realization that BanBan,
I don't know, I'm not remembering these names,
was the one that caused the ball pit to collapse on Bring a Friend Day, that he was the one that caused our child to disappear and sent us into the abyss trying to find them. But you know what? That's not the only mystery that we have left. During the dream cutscenes, whose perspective are we playing through? Naturally, you might assume that we're still in the perspective of the parent that we're playing as throughout the rest of the game. Or maybe we're not any character at all, that we're just some random floating camera observing these things happening. But
no, because they specifically talk to you in those dreams. But who would you be playing as? Because, yeah, not Banbaleena, not Jumbo Josh, because they specifically call it that he's not there.
Themselves. First off, BanBan, Stinger Flynn, and the rest of the gang, they talk directly to our character.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you're finally awake.
You sure are a sleepy fellow.
Agreed.
Morning, sleepy fellow.
We are a part of these dreams. We're watching this from the perspective of someone in the gang. So then, who are we? My first thought was that perhaps we're Jumbo Josh, but I was able to rule that one out pretty quickly thanks to this line from the campfire dream.
Man, if Jumbo Josh was here, he would have loved those vegetables.
The next possibility was BanBaleena, but that one was also quickly shot down.
Finally, you're waking up. I was getting really bored, and that fella over there isn't much of a talker.
If Bambolina was really part of Stinger Flynn's escape crew, then she would obviously know that Nab Nab is not a talker. BanBan wouldn't be needing to give her this sort of information, which means that whoever we are, we're someone new, or someone who doesn't know this group all that well, and that's shockingly rare to come by. I mean, almost all the characters that we've met so far have known each other, or at least have known about each other in some form. Toadster in Chapter 4 even has a poster of every character, including the Chapter 7 character Syringian, who we still haven't met in the games yet.
Ban coins? Is that what they're called?
Everyone, except for maybe one. There is one character that has been kept a secret this whole time. The one we also suspect was at Bring a Friend Day with BanBan.
Oh, the big mutated child thing. Okay.
The perfect child. This child was purposely kept hidden, not just from the experiments, but from everyone. Quote from one of the lore documents. We have to turn it back around if we want our little secret down in the basement to stay a secret. Eventually, the child was thrown into the mix with the other mascots because a follow-up note says, not to mention how dangerous it is to keep him around all those other monstrosities. This child has been with BanBan and his crew for a while, which is why it makes sense for him to be traveling with the rest of the group in these dream sequences. And this then seems to point to the crux of this whole game franchise. At its core, it isn't about purple kangaroos or spider blobs or pancreases,
spider blob,
whatever the plural is. It's about family, the love of two scientists desperate for a child, the love of one parent searching for her lost kid, and it's about the tragedy that comes when you're separated from those children. Stinger Flynn potentially takes away BanBan's kid on Bring a Friend Day, sending him into a rampage. This then prompts the overstuffed ball pit to collapse, leading to the catastrophic situation in which our character finds herself. So laugh all you want about the weird, veiny mascots with dumb names and stiff animations. At its core, this is a human story told through weird, esoteric dream sequences, poorly written text documents, and monotone monologues. But if you
very much so, yes,
all of that and the strange and often boring gameplay, underneath you have something beautiful. Or, you know, maybe not beautiful, but at the very least it's interesting. Or if not interesting, at the very least you have yourself a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching.
Oh, okay. I swear, this franchise, this franchise. I mean, I guess we won't know until, you know, everything is released and you have all the pieces. But at the same time, it's just, this game, well, not this game, this game series. Granted, I know the Euphoric brothers, they've made games before the Gartan of BanBan series. Though from what I've heard, not all of them, really any of them are good. They're all sort of, you know, middle of the road sort of deals. So, I honestly have nothing else to say. I mean, besides the fact we're in the final countdown here, but that's just depressing me, so I'm not going to talk about that anymore. So yeah, with all that out of the way, I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Oh, so good.